Okay, I'm back in this demo account, and I'm running a hard order bank here in the script thing. So when I press the Control 5 key, I think that's how it's set. If you go to your hotkeys, so I set this all up, and if I start with the Control key at C1, then every time I look at C1, I know it goes to a particular thing. So you just right mouse click or hit enter, hit modify. I'll open this thing up. So here's a progressive order. Buys more the deeper it goes. And this is a pretty risky trade, so I'm going to tighten these up. Well, no, it's 15 pips actually. Here, that's too many pips. That's 30 pips. So if I put the stop, here's the entrance. Here's the stop. Here's the take profit. So I want to buy. If I buy here, I want to put a stop of say 15 pips on there. So I have to make this 600 because that makes it actually 60 pips deep the moment you drop this. And this one, I would make like I think like a soft stop, 625. Maybe make this 7. Or how about 675? And make this pretty tight stop, 10 pips. So it's kind of a soft landing idea. As the market's smashing down and the stops here, and then here's the take profit. It's got to be a little more generous, like looking to make 30 pips with a 10 pip stop. And this one's only going to make 15. This is like a break even. That's not too good. So we'll make this way higher. So 250. So we'll make 20 pips there. This one will make 30 pips. And here you're looking to make 25 pips. So this is a pretty dense pack, and really, you know, when you hard do it like this, it is a lazy man's dream because you drop this and bam. Now the other thing is to create a whole set here, and then turn these switches on, and then resave them, rename them, and then you start to move out from a center point of a bunch of scripts building off of some things. So if I can get my scanner running, I'm going to post the stuff that I drew out by hand because I couldn't find an app that would give me price over time scripts. So I try to build a bunch of scenarios on paper, but then when I went to log them in, you know, I needed another piece of paper, so I want to print this out, and then so I scribble all over it because I don't want to ruin what I did. But I think this is the way to go because you can't really get away from the good old-fashioned punching bag or writing on a wall or graffiti of it all, because that's just how it is. You're hardwired to grab something and beat the hell out of it. I think on some level, even if you had money and all you do is make money clicking your mouse, at some point you got to get a beer and you got to go smack somebody in the face, right? I'm just saying. But yeah, that's always a hoot, and trading's always a hoot. So I'm trying not to blow up this demo account, and I'm trying to pay attention. And I did some hand drops earlier on the Swiss francs, so I kind of lost a little bit of money. I lost about $6,000, so but I'm not in that much margin right now. I'm up $3,000 using $7,000 of margin right now, so that's not bad considering what normally happens. But yeah, I've got these things. I got these things in the. I guess I got to compile that thing. I got these things posted, but those are the hard drops. Now that could crash the computer. That's these things coming in. And I don't want to duplicate any of these orders. It's bad enough that it's got the bad enough you're trading at all. But see, the problem with this order, I just dropped it here, and on the dollar CAD, it looks like it's a little bit too high. I think a dollar CAD could pull back for this this scenario we usually get. Like this is a great candidate for, say, this one, because this is a retest thing, and here's the stop, and this is a really generous stop. Look at this stop on this thing. Getting in here, and your stop's about 15 pips down. Now this is the one that I just edited. So see how the stops are stacked up in there? I guess I should change my background color on that. Can't really see the stops here unless you change. The problem is to get into the code to change the color of these things, red and blue. It's no day at the beach, so I'm just stuck with this garbage. Just try to make it darker, I suppose. I don't know if this can be a good color. I like green. It's terrible. Vibrates with the red. Anyways, get the point. I can turn on the orders here. There's the other way to look at your risk ratios is to go into properties, and this can be the limits. And you'd be surprised how that color is. So you can make the entries black. And the take profits, or the stops, are the take profits, and they're the stops. So it's kind of hard to tell. Light sea green. So you can see you get into the black there, but since these are only buy orders, you have to believe, well, you have to know. And actually, I don't think I'm in the market. Let me get out everything I'm in, just if I can get out everything I'm in, start over. Okay, so here we are, back to zero. So I'm only down 5 grand. But now it's about getting in on the scalps here. So let me say this as a template. And get this party started here. So this is, I just picked these currencies because they're the most wild. And this isn't really, this is the Euro, Pound, CAD, Australia. The Yen, it's boring, messy. It's choppy, but the problem is there's not enough pips on that thing right now. The Yen can make these huge moves and then just trade sideways. And right now, I'll go for this nonsense. So we'll go for this this thing here. All right, it doesn't get much boring than this. I went vertical just because I'm don't want to worry about the pips. Just the pips, ma'am. Just the facts, ma'am. So if I get, and this is a pretty dense retrace. So the one I just wrote was this number 5. But see, it's too tight for this now because the ATR on the, for the, going back to last week, this big explosion kind of destroyed the, so if you zoom in one level, you can see the wave better. Right here, at least the bottom becomes a top theory. Now, you know, if your buy limit's here, and you have a buy limit to pick up that stop out, here you got long on your robot. If you're willing to take this much risk, you got long on the robot. Here you're about to go short on this stop if you have the cojones to step in front of that kind of volatility. Here obviously this fractal's coming up, but there's always going to be the retest, so I would hand place orders on top without the risk of being an all or nothing person, which is always a problem if you're an all or nothing person. Another thing I did was I created these just random 50 pip grid things I'm testing here. Now it looks like a candidate here, and if you have this all planned out, like if you have a playbook, but I believe it has to be paper to get really. See, when you hit the button, you know. Now look at this thing, man. This is a complete news script here. You may not even fill this thing, but can you imagine this thing filling? Like, look at this. Where was it? So I try to make the names of these now. In the original versions, very long names. The problem is that when you go to the favorites list, we have to save screen space. So I created single drops here that you can't crash the system. So you just put them right here at your last known thing. And this actually, on the buy stop, this broker lets you trade inside the spread. But if you can imagine, your buy limits were here and you didn't get filled. So that's why, unfortunately, you have to stop in front and buy this bottom that occurred earlier. This is the 4-hour British pound, so this being a big deal, like it turned around there, they even stopped, hunted that poor guy and ripped his face off all the way to here. And so, therefore, as the future comes, and we come back to that, if you had a buy limit here, I don't know if they would have filled you. It's so tight. So it would have been better to buy this 40 pip window and just commit to the scaling in method so you can really kind of use that whole scenario. Like if you miss this entry because you had that see here, it came so close. But if you have sell limits up here preparing for the actual rally into previous support, you get that killer. See, this was already, because that would have queued up to this. Would have queued up to that rhythm, that amount of momentum flyback. If you can imagine this thing, price is here, and it came all the way back to touch that and confirm this guy a little bit more, but it just kind of whipped up there real quick. And then crushing down, this was a big key number. So even this bottom off of this top followed through on that 10-yard line right to there. Now with sellers are going to come in here because anybody that bought here is going to be happy to be even, and that's what psychologically causes the market to keep trading sideways. Because but here's the range trader's dream going on right there. So far no fill, and here comes Wednesday's coming. So today was a real I think 11-year move here in the Canadian dollar. That's a lot of pips. Canadian dollar was totally on fire there. Look how long this thing traded sideways. You got to be kidding me. Look at this thing. Yeah, that was the price to break. Okay, let's go see the 100 pip handles down there. Yeah. $1.35, so 35 cents. Yeah, it used to be $1.40. Unfortunately, this broker doesn't go back to the beginning. But yeah, we're getting up in the nosebleed section now, so a lot of scalping up here today. This is wild. This is the half hour. 15, 5. Look at this wedge. So here's a triangle for you. Nice tick chart. You know, when you're zoomed out like this, for God's sakes, man. Yeah. There's your big contention. There's your triangle, right? You know, if you are going to trade with your chart like that, for God's sakes, put it on the 1 minute or put it on the 5 minutes so people don't lose their mind. So you can see this. Duh, right? Look at this contention here. Man, they just crushed this puppy. This is so brutal. Look at that thing. But this was the big resistance. We cleared the trees. Yeah, we're due for a pullback to see here. It's how we got out of this thing. So the idea is, or the issue is, do you put buy stops here and sell stops here, or do you put buy limits here and buy stops here? I think it's better to wait for the, if we zoom in and forget about everything this, maybe leave the trend line there, but think about everything. Just think about what's going on right now. What'd you get on this thing? So on a single drop, I'd go like this, and this would just be a scalp. But look at this target, 20 pips. That's almost an unbelievable target. So sometimes you have to take a script that's like risk 5 to make 10. Once you put this on here, you'll see how stupid that trade is. This would be a buy limit entry. Now buy on the top of that fractal, which is nearly a market order. So if you were going to get into the market, your first exit would be here, obviously. I mean, if you've got that much time, so every time you zoom out of this thing, you're always kind of at the fork in the road. Of course, this big explosion earlier, if you notice the revisiting of this triangle, just stupid, right? But didn't quite make it there. Or just the revisiting of this breakout point. You would just take your order like this and just place it up in here like this. Right on that one, you have one here, and you'd have one here. But you see, that's not a good, I mean, that's to make 10 pips, right? So people aren't happy with 10 pips, but look at the probability of that trade. And you have a buy limit down here that never got filled. And these maybe last for an hour. These last for 8 hours here. So I would just place a bunch of orders down here. Dollar CAD. Here's the 1 hour view. Definitely, if you blow through that, definitely look at how this was back here. Can you imagine these orders back here? Here's a nice 100 pip explosion, so you could put this on risk 10. You know, you got all these different, you know, just really, come on. Obviously, you want to buy that. Obviously, here. So you're just putting all your orders back in the congestion zones. You're just zone trading it, for God's sakes. You know, who wants to worry about this crap? Here, buy stop. Duh. Here's buy limit there, and then you want to get in on the internal top here. So these are 8 hours, and these are tight stops. We got 5 pips to make 10. Here's 10 to make 20. So you just cluster them down here. It should look totally random. I mean, no repeating orders, ideally. Yeah, just set it and forget it, and give this thing 8 hours to pull back. On the sell side, you just trade this in both directions. So maybe we're at the top, so put all your orders up here on the sell side. Just don't repeat any orders. And there's going to be a possible rally up here, so you just place some up here for the week, I suppose. Let's put orders up here. And here's a big 30 pips to make 70. But in the short term, how far can this thing get? You know, that's the question. So here's a 5 to make 10 sell. See, this is a big order. This is by 2 standard lots here, but just for a scalp. So if we are going to plunge down here, we're just going to flirt with this area. I put all my scalps in there, and maybe we're really going to launch out of this thing. So I'll put a sell there. So if we break down, and if we kick up before we go down. That's so bizarre. So I did make the sells red and the buys blue, though, inside these scripts to keep this straight. 8 hours on these guys, because I don't want to come back to this. Then I put 8 hours in the comments, so that should come up in here. If we go to okay, so we just went long dollar CAD, down $66. Now I'm not into that kind of trading, but if you are, you know, I mean, I would just rather place a bunch of singles, but because of the demo, I've got 100 grand in here. It's not going to look very impressive if I only make $300. So I'm going to put in orders that I wouldn't normally trade, because I would just assign this to a hotkey, or I just put in mini lots maybe. That's about as thin as I would, I mean as fat as I would go in the real world, because how much effort does it take to go like this? And just, if this is the price you want to buy, you've got them in like this, just staggered out, and have them down here, all different prices. Right? Because you just make more money when that market sweeps through these orders. It's going to make total sense, because you'll see this, like here, if I think this is a fractal, which it obviously is a closing fractal, this hump right here. So we just keep stacking the buy stops, or I put it on the bar. So as the market's pulling back here, I could put one at the bar, which is actually higher than that one. Of course, this ask on this broker is so wide, it's terrible. So I just went long. I just long, I'm long on some hairy position now. Okay. I need to go back to this real account here. Okay, so dollar CAD. This one I wrote a deeper order bank. This is really for the market comes unwrapped. Okay. So this one would be like dollar CAD's going to come slamming back in here. So a bit of trap down there like that, and we can hand place them like this all the way back. Now this is a high moving average of 1, just a high moving average of the bar and the internal kick drum. So if you're a breakout trader, you're getting in on the fact that you made a higher high, boom, you're in. If you're a rhythm trader, you're looking at, or you're a person that's waiting for the close of the candle, you're going to be thinking about this price being the important entry price for the market to cut back through. So if you see a fractal, like here's your bifractal, it's also the volatility entry window. So ideally you get a mountain. Here's your you could call that a valley, but I'd actually think I'd rather call these valleys the valleys here for me. Now a lot of people say, well, this is the valley. Yeah, if the background is your you can invert it real quick. This top is resistance taken out, but from a volatility standpoint, it's too quiet too long. So now we're coming into another possible buy stop, one last gust of wind to say here, and but having buy limits just for a ricochet off the 100 yard line. Now look at how it bangs on the 100 3 times, and finally it just sneaks across the border, and then kaboom, 100 pips clean, pause, another 100. Maybe another 100, I don't know, but it's going to be kind of I think it's going to be a creeper gear right up there, but let's see here. Okay, so I'm in whether I like it or not, and this looks like a candidate for a pullback into here, say like way down deep, and then have the scalps in here too. So if you just in sheer terms of the round number, just put orders around the round number. You have the scalps in here. These are 1 hours. It's not going to make it there in an hour, but here would be a 1 hour buy limit. So this is a logical trade here. Risk 4 to make 12 if you go and say take that out, right? 4 to make 8, if you retest down here in an hour, I don't think it's coming back there in an hour, but I'm just saying that would be like the idea there. Here I could see a retest. This 4-hour chart, so it's ridiculous. Let's go to the 15. So on the 15, you see what this looks like. Buy stop here, obviously right there, and as it breaks out, that's the entry. So it's like caught in this cage. This looks more like one of those snake trading thing. Now here's a trap in a 10-pip window, and that's the thing where say your sell stops are on this fractal, they're going to trap you and try to stop you out. Or are you getting in on the these volatility vacuums forming up underneath, because you get this big gust to fill, and here it's stacking up. So as it's climbing up into previous resistance is when you're hitting the or placing the sell stop orders to just get picked up in the complete. You want to be in before this fractal's broken out. You don't want to get in this fractal. So just order placement on the 15. It's all right, but geez, man, this is a nice 1 hour narrowing of drama. Here's the same thing, 2 buy stops, bull trap, bear trap here. So all the stop bots are getting clobbered, but boy, here's where they clean up. And then the using this as confirmation to say stay in it, and this is you're already in, but this is confirmation to stay in instead of confirmation to get in. This is the confirmation to stay in. But look how that coincides with the double top. So right, I'm coming back. I want to buy this. I want to buy this. So I'll take both sides of it. I could buy this, and I could also buy a dollar CAD. Either way. And today the euro was so overdone this way that when this came back, the euro really didn't come back. Not too much. So it looks like they're off to the races coming into Australia here. And the market's only been open for like 45 minutes here with these brokers. Let's go to the 4-hour zoom in. So this is a creepy view of the market here. Kind of a mess. It's a little bit too, when you run vertical mode like this, it's a little bit too messy. Here you need the whole story here. So you went sideways here. This is definitely the target for the bulls are going to be getting out here like crazy, right? And we're looking to trap the bulls tonight on that. And tug it back down to the round number. So let me see here. Get back to reality. Put this back to 4 hours. Back to the boring style of trading. Bored to death. Of course, here's another one when you're running vertical. I guess you could do the full zoom out because you're so narrow here. Okay, so here you can see the, that's not a bad view, right? Risk click, it's too much space. Okay, that's tit for tat. There you go. That's the view. Look at this trap here, though. Wow. 20 pip window of grab and triple bottom. Retest, but yeah, this thing could still come down here. So I put the buy limits down here. This thing's off to the races for maybe one more smash to here. Everybody's gonna be buying like crazy if we ever get back here. And here's the stops to be stopped out on. So we go in the range mode. So we're just in range mode. Sell up here, sell up here, sell up here. Look at this thing, my God. If it ever makes it back here, you gotta sell here. And, I don't know. Hopefully I can get this thing cranked. This demo counts on life support. Okay, here we go. So I'm in some crazy position here, using $2,200 of margin. I guess if it gets too hot here. Now this looks like a buy here on the CAD 5 minute. It looks like a buy on the 4 hour Australian. Go to 5 minute here. See what it looks like. Yeah, it's already off to the races there. Okay, 5 minute. It's 5. Okay. There you go. It's pretty squarely on the 5 here, so you may have to okay, let me do a psycho order. Probably have to go to a 4-hour chart. Now, in a 4-hour chart, I'm thinking really, you can't really enter these without risking a lot of money. It's hard to trade the fractals in here. Alright. Alrighty then. So this looks pretty psychotic because I put all these orders back. Basically, they retested this top that became a bottom. So look at that perfect scenario here. The retest of this narrow range explosion. Now we're looking to buy and then sell and then buy and sell, whatever. Don't care. Don't care anymore. It's all theirs. They can have it. And here's the euro dollar. Would be the sells. See if an auto sell written. No, I guess not. So it looks like this. You're gonna sell if we ever come up here. Sell if we ever come up here. These aren't realistic orders. Need to come down here. Risk 10 to make 20. So you always want to start off with this order. These are the easy ones. Then we risk 20 to make 40. So if we do come up here, the exit's going to be here. Obviously, if people come in here and sell, they're going to want to run it back to here. The buyers come back in, so you get the ball bouncing back and forth. And then from the buy side on the euro, not that we're coming back down here tonight, but it would just look like this. The oops, I put it in the wrong order. Buy limit, like just a single ticket, would look like this. So you wanted to make 20 pips, the 10 pip stop. So that's what that looks like. And then it's kind of funny because if you imagine this happening, if you're risking 30 to make 70, you might want to buy not this exact same price, but this top, say, because we can imagine it retesting this. Here's the 10 to make 20. So you have to kind of pepper these things around here. So if you imagine the script, if you wrote a monster script that just dropped this whole scenario, you can kind of get a clue what you want it to look like just by dropping these. As long as you're never entering and exiting the same price. Otherwise, you're just duplicating your stupidity, and that's never good. Pick a how many pips you want to make, and then just start putting them here. And then on the sell side, it'd be like, okay, well, I'll scalp the top of this for sure. 8 hours. If the euro comes up here, right, who's not selling, and then go to the daily. For the order placement, you can actually take the order and drag it all the way over to this bottom. So you can see what the market would look like if it came up there. You weren't there for that trade. That might be a little outlandish, so we'll go for the stop hunt of this top. So as you place them here, you can see them pop up on the right. So figure that we come to this price. Now this is the big deal. Let me just stack them up some here. And these guys would be the first ones I'd put in as just to risk a very tiny amount. I think start to expand the risk. Risk 30 to make 70. These would probably be, if it risk 50 to make 100, I mean, this is stuff you're going to put in there a week in advance, you know. But these are always going to be good because we know where we know where everybody's stops are by looking at the charts. So what do we care? Let's look at this daily. So you can see where you're living inside of there. And this is the daily. So as you zoom out, I mean, it's just the whole world in there. It's a 4-hour world. Look at this thing. You gotta be kidding me. This is a completely different 4-hour chart than the other brokers. That thing turned right on that 4-hour. That's the cool thing about, and then you know that's a hanging man. You know that's a hammer, hanging man, whatever. You climaxed right into the bottom of the bar there. So you just see complete narrowized. And here the volatility is outrageous on this euro. For God's sakes. We may have to come back here. Come up here and fizzle out. Who knows? Who cares? Anyways, just trying to make money on this demo. It's all about this demo. Go to the damn, here you go. This is a different demo here. So here's the dollar yen. Some guy was talking about the dollar yen. Gotta go to daily. Look at this thing. It's 4 hours, a little more negotiable. Okay, sellers are taking it down now, so if you're not short, too late. So sorry. This looks like a good fit. You can't go bad with super deep and very spread out. Here's a cool one. So I like this iceberg idea. You got a zone there. Here's a nice broad zone. So, you know, this is great for when the market's on fire. Just two orders that are sitting really wide on that. That euro looks ready to go nuts. To the upside. Oops, that's a sell limit. Okay. So I want to buy that euro. And pullbacks. So this one I've tried to, this is the one that I did the monthly euro on. So I'm going to buy this damn yen. As it plunges. So this is kind of a nice hedge because I'll buy either the dollar yen or the euro dollar on a retest. It's just a retest strategy spread out, and hopefully I get the fit right here. So I'll blow up this damn thing. Okay, so this one, I made this the market order. Okay, it looks like dollar CAD's going to come flying back. So I'm putting this 5 thing. So here's a perfect fit right up against this triangle. It just so happens now you can have the thing is when you do this you just need to know exactly how many pips deep that's going to be. Yeah. So it's just manually put them in there. So I wait to get stopped out of this whole thing and then just put a psycho amount down here. And just if you keep placing these guys, it just adds up. You know, just adds up. And eventually, it should look like, when you're done, it should just have an organic look to it. Okay. So I guess I'm losing on my dollar CAD. Well, it's a triangle there. And here's another way you could look at it if you want to trade triangles, and there's no triangle here, it's just to retest that top. But here's the triangle. The only thing that's giving you a triangle is that this thing looks like this guy here, it's just itching to pop up. Same thing with this is on the 5 minute, we just possible pullback. Okay, 4 minutes before the top of the hour, that's why you're seeing all this ridiculousness. Okay, that was only 1 hour. Okay, now the wheels start to come off. Gold is coming up off the floor, and the stock markets are starting to top out, and these bozos are talking about a rate hike, so that should be a real. And then you got the crude oil. So here's crude oil testing August low. So it's a bull trap, a bear trap. It's time to buy the oil, I think. A little bit here. I think I have the full tilt here. So you're testing 2008 lows in crude. All the way back to this double top here. But I don't know. Can you imagine crude coming down to $16 a barrel? Wouldn't that just be insane? Look at this. I don't know if this is right. It's like almost $7. It's $10 a barrel back here. That is insane. I need to delete these indicators. Just put the hundreds in there. That is insane. Good God. So this is quite the punishment. This, I guess you could say, this is the big triangle. Of course, kind of like a sideways thing, but boy, there's a hole. Look, itching to get filled. Yikes. That's why gold's cheaper, just because they're using oil to dig the gold out of the ground. God, that is just... Remember when they were calling for $200 a barrel up here? Good Lord, man. There's your Williams fractal entry. Yeah, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy it $60 a barrel when it breaks out. Ride it up into here. It's ridiculous. People are gonna buy here. They're gonna buy here at $24 a barrel. But yeah, we could still go after this 2008 low. Coming up on that. It's gonna be crazy, man. $37.50 today. Insane. But even this thing doesn't pay attention to Fibonacci. It pays attention to this. $40 a barrel. God, look at the drama there. And then kablamo. This is Sunday. Falls out of bed on Monday. You got a bottom, becomes a top. Boosh. And then scalper heaven. Same with this. Scalper city. Gee, $42 a barrel was the big issue. Gosh, crude. I'm certainly enjoying the cheap gas prices, though. Must say.